Hello. This lesson is for FTOs entering student-run information into FISDAP. Every FTO must be entered into FISDAP, and that is handled through our office. You go to the FISDAP website, FISDAP.net, log in. Everybody's username is going to be the same. It's going to be last name, first initial. Occasionally the middle initial will be added in, and then the passwords are entered by you. Once you log into the system, you will see this screen. We enter in evaluations on a per call basis, but we can only enter them into the shifts. You will start in the shifts section, and we will open up the skills and patient care. You're going to choose your student who you're going to do your evaluation on. Once in here, you will see all the shifts that the student has, whether they're field shifts, clinical shifts, and lab shifts. FTOs will only enter in evaluations on field shifts, which are the dark blue. So if I'm going to enter in an evaluation for Tyler here, December 12th, Troy Fire Department, I would open this shift. Now, Tyler only has one patient in here. Remember, we need to do an evaluation for each and every patient that is done. FISDAP has not been able for us to match up the evaluations to the patients. They only have matched up the evaluations to the shifts. So we have a 31-year-old male patient, head trauma. So you're going to go down to shift evaluations. And you will see SWIC, Paramedic Field Critique. We need to choose that. Okay, make sure the evaluator information and the subject information are proper. With you logging in and choosing this person, this is the way that they should be. Also, there's no reason to put in a date. All right? So we'll go straight to the shift. Observations only happen in the months of January, February, and March. The instructional phase start in March and run about March, April, and maybe into May. After May, they're all evaluations. Internship agency, you will type in the department that did the observation. Here, type in the run number of the call. Next is the priority. The priorities can be found in the FTO manual. I'll drag a copy in. Here we see a 1M, a patient suffering from an immediate, multifarious, life or limb threatening injury or illness. Priority 1, patient suffering from an immediate life or limb threatening injury or illness. Priority 2, patient suffering from a potentially life or limb threatening injury or illness. And then priority 3, a patient suffering from an injury or illness that requires medical attention, but not immediately or potentially threatening to life or limb. So properly categorize this patient. Every student has to have a certain amount of each categories each semester. Patient age and gender is very important. We need to make sure that the age and gender matches the age and gender of the call. So here we would enter 31-year-old male. This is going to be the identifier that matches up with the patient entry that is done by the student. By typing in head trauma, that'll further assist us in matching up the proper report. Here, you will go down each section and score the student appropriately. Starting in 2017, the students will actually start receiving grades based upon their scores. So this is very important that we got the proper scores, but it is also very important that we write comments in each section. Now, as you recall in your FTO training, students are graded on their number of prompts, and you will see in each section you can put the number of prompts that this student needed and then score appropriately. It is a Likert scale scoring. 4 being performed very well, 1 poorly, and 2 and 3 in the average range. So we have initial assessment. So we would type notes in here. Perform proper patient assessment. If there was anything that had to happen in here, we would type in the notes. If you do put a number for a prompt, we want you to describe in the comments what prompt it was. History, this is very important. We need to know if they did their sample history properly, and then if we have a candidate that the OPQRST applies to, that is also applied. Physical exam, knowing the protocols. Reassessment, 15 minutes for your minor patient, every 5 minutes for your critical patient. Changes in therapy, and then their affective domain, whether they acted professional, communication, and so forth. Again, this is very important that we put in as many comments as we possibly can about how to help the student become as professional as they possibly can. Communication. Skills. Skills are they're individually broken out here, as you can see. If you use any of the miscellaneous skills, please put in the notes which skill it is that you're considering a miscellaneous skill. Their overall score. All students must need improvement. Very few students are going to be in the satisfactory category during the middle of the program. Maybe towards the end of the program they will be satisfactory. If you give somebody a 4 that they're confidently proficient, basically you're saying they're street ready. So if you give somebody a 4, basically you may be saying that this paramedic student is now ready to go out into the field and run as a entry-level street paramedic. Here we need to know whether you have 3 or more prompts, more than 3 repetitive prompts, and if any of those prompts are considered unsatisfactory. Please type in comments, any action plan that you have discussed with the student, and the students typically do not make comments here, so this would typically be an A. We do not use the timer, and then when you're done you push submit and close. Once you've completed the survey, you should see SWIC Paramedic Field Critique under completed evaluations. There should be 1 completed evaluation for every patient that is listed above. If we have 3 patients here, we should have 3 paramedic field critiques listed down here. Some FTOs have chosen to go ahead and do an evaluation in the patient care report. I will show you that. This is the student's information on their patient contact. We have the patient care, the narrative, and the preceptor sign-off. Where I'm showing you this is you have a shift summary here that the student may present some information on. But if you would like to go ahead and create a plan of action, you can type it in this square and then go ahead and enter your username and password and sign off on that. The students have the ability to read this information. Once you're completed with this, hit back to my shift page. It'll take you back to this screen, and then if you hit the back to Tyler's shift list, you will see the list of shifts here. So if you're entering more shifts information in, then you can now choose a different shift. Be advised, you've got 48 hours from the time that this shift is complete to have these entries done. The students can lose your evaluation and lose this patient contact if this paperwork is not complete. You can see the performance of your student by going to Reports, hit Report, go to Graduation Requirements Report, choose Paramedic Program 2014, choose the student that you want to look up, and push Go. This is where the particular student stands with their program requirements on patient contacts, hours, everything that they are needing to graduate the program. So let's take a look at ages, for example. They have to have 100 adult contacts. If it is green, that means they've already surpassed their goals for the program. Geriatric is 70. Pediatric is 30, even though if you were to add up the newborn, infant, toddler, preschool, school age, and adolescent, it does not add up to 30. It adds up below 30. But in the pediatric 30 total, they have to have at least 2 newborns, 2 infant contacts, 3 toddlers, 4 preschoolers, 6 school age, 6 adolescents. Airway management is taken care of in the operating room. Anything else that they do in the field is a bonus. Complaints. Here they list the complaints. This is very important. Abdominal pain 25, breathing problems 25, change in responsiveness 10. But take a look at dizziness 0, weakness 0. As the student enters their information, if they choose dizziness as a complaint or weakness as a complaint, they don't get any credit. We need to make sure that the students choose their proper categories. Impressions is the same way. CVA, for instance, is 0. We need to choose altered mental status for this particular patient. Altered mental status up here has a goal of 25. I'll show you where this information comes from after we move past this. This is where their skills are tracked and their team leads. All students should be doing all team leads starting at about June on for the rest of their program. So where do the complaints and impressions come from? When they do an entry, on the very first sign, patient care, here is the complaints, and here are the impressions. You've got a long list of impressions here, but they have to remember which ones count and which ones do not. It should be easy for them to remember. There are very few of these in the categories that are actually tracked. If you're wanting to see the student how many hours that they're putting in, you can go to Reports, go to the Hours Report. If you want to scale it from a certain time to a certain time or leave them blank for all, choose your student. Now if you're only interested in the field, you can take out the clinical. So we just want field site. Push go. And there is an evaluation of how many hours that the student is putting in out in the field. It breaks it down by location. So from an FTO standpoint, this lesson should be able to get you through entering evaluation information. Here's an example. Tyler Daniels had 2 patients in this particular day, 62-year-old female, 50-year-old female. There are 2 field critiques down here that are SWIC field critiques. So this matches up with the amount here. What we should be able to do is open this up and see which patient that this reflects. 62-year-old female, that would be the evaluation for this particular one. 50-year-old female is the evaluation for this particular call. So this particular field shift is compliant. The only thing else that we ask the students to do is come in and do a preceptor evaluation on their preceptors. They can also do a site evaluation on the actual department itself. But most of the time we ask for preceptor evaluations. That is the end of this lesson. If you have any further questions, you can contact our office.